Hey, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Connie. I'm Connie Fuksa with Foote Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. So, as I like to come to you many times during the week and talk to you about things going on with respect to real estate, home closings, buying and selling your home, different questions that people have. You know, I've been in the closing business for a long time, and we have lots of questions at the table or as we are getting to closing that I like to talk about, because if you have a question, then more than likely there's a lot of other people out there that will have a similar or the same question. And so those are the things I really like to talk about. So I also love it when you have questions and you reach out to me and ask me about them. So this particular question is something that came to me earlier in the week from one of my really good friends who is a realtor who has a seller that's trying to go to closing, and this exact thing happened to them. So this couple has owned this property for quite some time, and they actually got the property from a family member when that family member passed away. And that family member, when they purchased the property, took over someone else's mortgage. So I know it sounds a little confusing, but basically on this level, that mortgage has been around for a very long time. And when the couple who owns it now, who's trying to sell it, when their family member passed away, that family member had long since paid this mortgage off. Now we're talking about a really small mortgage. In this case, I want to say it was like $28,000, and they had owned the property for a very long time beforehand and taken that mortgage over from someone else. So that mortgage was existing, and when that person paid that mortgage off, they never followed through to make sure that it was released from that property. So just because you pay a mortgage off doesn't mean it goes away. And even though it's paid off and maybe the mortgage company doesn't exist anymore, no one is going to easily be able to do that closing, because we're going to need to verify that that mortgage is paid off and get it released, because we're guaranteeing to the new buyer that their home ownership is protected. And by doing that, we have to make sure that anything that could affect that home ownership is extinguished or removed or released or gone off of that chain of ownership. So in this particular scenario, this mortgage has been paid off for a very long time, and the mortgage company who was collecting the mortgages doesn't exist any longer. So now you're talking about some things that are really confusing. And does that make this go away? No, it doesn't, because in the protecting the home ownership understanding, we are guaranteeing to the new buyer that their homeownership is protected. And if someone actually took over that mortgage from that mortgage lender, maybe that lender doesn't exist anymore. So you're thinking, well, they don't exist, so I don't have to pay that, or I don't have to worry about making sure it gets released. That's not true, because maybe someone took that mortgage over. Another company took that mortgage company's debts over, and they're expecting a payment, and maybe it got shuffled through the ownership or through the transfer somewhere, and that new mortgage company doesn't realize that that mortgage is still outstanding. And so they're going to want someone to explain to them the situation. And as I've talked about many times before, maybe you don't owe anything, but you have to defend your interest. So if we don't make sure that that mortgage is gone, then the new owner, we're protecting their home ownership. That new owner is taking over the potential responsibility to protect themselves or defend their interest. And in this case, they may have to defend their interest to a mortgage company that might have taken over that mortgage. Now, I know it sounds a little crazy, but these things happen. And this is why a title company is going to require, before that seller can sell that property and before they can close it, that mortgage is extinguished, it's released, it's gone from that property. Now, in some circumstances, in certain states, and in Maryland, this is the particular rule where this property is located. In Maryland, if a mortgage, the final payment date is listed on that mortgage or that deed of trust or that loan document, if the final payment date is listed on that document and it has been 12 years since that final payment date, then it's considered extinguished automatically. Unfortunately, in the particular case we're talking about, it's only been 9 years. So they still have a few years before that automatically goes away. They want to sell now, so we've got to work on getting that mortgage released from that property. We have to find someone who has the ability to sign the paperwork to get that mortgage released. It may become a legal process that we have to go through the court system, or it may be a process that we have to go through a bonding system to bond that, where money is actually set aside in case someone comes back and says that mortgage has to be taken care of, or we have to explain that that mortgage has been paid off and we have no proof. So there may be some money needed to be set aside in case that ever happens, and that's called bonding. And some title companies may require that, but they may first try to go through the traditional process and see if we can actually figure out who that is. Now, we're not doing that closing, so I don't have that total process together, but I just wanted to talk about for a minute why the understanding is if you're selling a piece of property and you paid off a mortgage and it never got released from the property, why in fact it is that that has to be taken care of. I mean, it's paid off, right? That mortgage company isn't around anymore, right? So why does it matter? Well, again, because that new person who's buying that property is expecting that they're going to own that property with no one ever having the ability to come back and say, hey, I own this, or hey, you owed something, or maybe you don't owe something, but prove it to me, because this is still outstanding. So this is how some of that process would go. And as a seller, you need to make sure that when you pay off a mortgage or a lien on your property, that it gets removed from that ownership. Just like if you had a car and you paid off your loan with Wells Fargo or Bank of America, you would get a title that has that lien released off of there. So when you go to sell that property, you can say, hey, I had this lien, but look, it's been released and I have a clear title now. The same is true with your home. If you pay off your mortgage through refinancing, through paying it off yourself, you have to make sure that mortgage gets released. And if you need some help walking through that paperwork or understanding that, we certainly can help you. Anybody on our team can help you work through some of those pieces, but you got to make sure those things are taken care of, because you've removed that responsibility from yourself, and you have to make sure it's gone so that you can sell it and someone else is buying it free and clear of what that loan is. So, as always, hopefully I helped you answer a question. I love it when I get questions from the crowd, because those are real live things that you guys may be thinking about, experiencing, or maybe you're not, maybe somebody you know is. So please hit that share button, because there may be somebody you know that's actually going through some experience that they may need to know what's going on here. So hopefully that helped you understand a little bit of the process. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hey there, Sean. How are you? Good morning. Hey there, Julianne. How are you this morning? Thank you guys for tuning in. And please hit that share button and share this information with people that you know, so that we can get the information out there and hopefully help somebody else with a question they may have. And if you have questions, message me, reach out, let me know that there's something that you may have a question about that I can help you out. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you for tuning in to Coffee with Connie. I'm Connie Fuksa with Foote Title Group. Hope you have an awesome day.